Hey guys, Tyler Mahoney here with Truman Lake Fishing Intel. Got my good buddy David McCormick on the line here, no pun intended. And he has got some tricks up his sleeve. He's going to show us about something that might catch you some fish right now on old Truman Lake. And to be honest, probably just about anywhere you're trying to fish. And so, David, how's it going, man?
Well, it's going real well. Obviously, it's a good fishing season, and we've even though I'm going to tell you that we haven't had the greatest season. We've had high water, and we still got cool water. And at Truman, not all our fish have spawned, but at Table Rock and some of the further lakes they have. And when they start garden fried, this technique becomes even better. But a lot of guys just don't know it. They fish all winter with their favorite stick bait, and they got 8 or 10 pound line on it, and they put it away and they never think about it. But I'm telling you, you're missing out if you're not fishing the second jerkbait season. And you may even do it with a few different baits that may not be quite as expensive as those expensive mega bass, but I'm not going to say anything negative about them. I got 3 or 4 boxes full of them, and they work. And during the winter, you know, the hybrids aren't as thick, and we're not fishing around those hybrids. But that's one thing I will point out to you. You put an expensive stick bait out in the water when it's over 70 degrees on a lake that is full of hybrids, be prepared now. So first off, I'm going to get that 8 or 10 pound line off there. I throw 14 pound monofilament. I mean, heavy duty, like big game. And I'll throw it in green. And I'll throw big heavy mono, and I'll throw it on the same pole. But I'm going to share some baits with you here, because I'm going to share with you a couple of the ones that I recently purchased these on eBay. This right here is a Rapala floater. It is in some kind of northern perch color, and it's got its beautiful golden bottom. And I think that's an awful lot of time. That's the side of the bait that really matters. You and I see this beautiful top, but a lot of times the fish don't ever see that. They come from underneath it. But so that is one of my favorite, one of my favorites. I'm going to show you the one I have tied on. I bought this one as well. I don't know what the color's called. It's very interesting. It's perch light. Remember, this season you're becoming the perch. The perch around the beds are something that they just will not have much to do with. They really will clean house. So for years, when we couldn't get that one, we fished this Mylar Bomber Long A. I got a couple of them here. I apologize, but it's almost see-through. I don't know if you can see that. It has a real gold look to it. So I'm very much mimicking the green-eared sunfish, which is our main fry predator. That's going to eat most of our fry from our bass spawn, is a green-eared sunfish. And that's who the largemouth bass really, will now wait and feed around their nests to make up for all the menacing they gave them while they were on the nest. Now, that being said, we've noticed that we get this incredible bite pre-spawn on it. A lot of times it's right up real close to the bank, or a first piece of cover right off the bank, in just adjacent to or right in the spawning area. So a lot of times, refresh people memories, a lot of times these fish spawn in the very back of these pockets and creeks. So that's where we're seeing this work. I mean, it's not foolproof. We went to Grand this weekend and had super high hopes that this would be the technique. It's timed out right. The color of the water is real dirty. Everything's right. And it didn't work. So we caught them on a chatterbait, to be honest. So, and a jig. So we wanted it to work,
Yeah.
But it does. It's been working at Truman. I got high hopes for it this weekend. There are other baits that have tremendous power too. This is an old one. This is another bomber. It's a saltwater bombers. Actually, some of those are my absolute favorites, and some of those have real bright silver hooks, and you'll change out the hooks. But this is a saltwater one, the right color. It's gold and orange, and it looks like our green-eared sunfish. It's kind of got a blue back. And remember, the technique is throwing it up real close, and it's a it's a one twitch and a pause, and instead of the worrying about the bait suspending, you want it to rise all the way to the surface. So your next pull is actually kind of a slap where it makes a splash when it leaves the surface of the water. And I got a couple buddies who are real good at it. They'll get it just as it breaks the surface, and Joe Dorsey is one of those. He's really good at knowing how to make that thing make a top water noise, and then he'll keep it down for 2 pulls. He's got a real system of how he does it. And he put a whooping on me. I'm not gonna lie. Most of the guys I fish with, one moment in time, they put a real whooping on me, because that's how it goes. That's how you get better, is to pick your friends that you fish with that they're better than you in some techniques, and they can propel your game as well as you're propelling their game. And Joe Dorsey's really good at this technique. And I didn't have my box of magic, but I've got a whole box of Mr. Twitches, all the way down to this crazy, like, big giant rogue that's painted to be a small bass, which there are moments in time when the bass become even aggressive towards other little bass that might eat their fry. So but that's a whole technique that most people just go straight into the top water, and they try to mimic or do what we're doing with this with a pop R, or something that is a twitch and pause type surface bait. But this has a special magic, because you can make it completely underneath the surface. There'll be days when you have good clarity and they won't come to the surface to get it, but if you'll keep it down, they'll come get it. So, and then in fact, that day, that's what Joe figured out. You had to keep it down, and then he put a whooping on me. The video that's coming, so you'll all get to see it.
Heck yeah. So you were fishing Truman here a couple weeks back. That was your go-to method. What's your schedule looking like for Truman and just fishing in general here coming up?
Well, there's a really big one this weekend. So Joe Bass is really turning some big numbers. I mean, if somebody has an inkling to come out and try to win big money at Lake Truman, it's this Sunday at Truman. The last time they had this, they exceeded like 148 or 9 boats. And for a tournament circuit that, was really thinking they were doing it, getting 60 now, because Truman's really, and it kicked out some bags. There were, granted, there was a lot of 9 and 10, 11, 12 pound bags, which still always will be. But still rough conditions, and still took, I think, almost 20 pounds and several bags in that range. So it's hard to get a motel room. I know I'm having to stay in Clinton because there's that many boats already signed up for it. But it's a Joe Bass tournament out of Shawnee Bend, Sunday morning, 6 a.m. to 3 p.m. I believe is the tournament hours, and it's going to have a big draw. I'm going to go down Saturday and fool around a little bit, and going to fish it Sunday. So
nice. So we might be able to get a few notes from you maybe Saturday.
Sure. Yeah. No, it's I'm going to tell you right now. There's only so many. It's going to be that little jig, the finesse jig, that is the little green-eared sunfish that I pitch up into the bed, that I can really make fish, mad when I see them. Now, Truman's not clear enough to see them, but when I fish an area that I think there are spawning fish, I fish it exactly like I could see it, pretending there's going to be a bass right there in the Y of that log, because every time we came across the wide log at Table Rock, there was bass sitting in there spawning in the Y. So it's things like that. So I'm always going to have the little jig, and I'm always going to have a Cinco. We've started catching them on a Cinco. I'm either going to have it Texas rigged, or I'm going to have it on a stand-up head. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm going to probe and poke with that, obviously, around laydowns or anything. First piece of cover that's in 3 foot of water, 2 foot of water, 5 foot of water, whatever that magic depth. I kind of listen to the fish telling me that, and I get a bite in 3 foot, and that's how we focus. But then I'm going to have a square bill, and I'm going to have some form of top water, and I'm going to have Mr. Twitch. Mr. Twitch is just something a lot of guys don't throw. I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to tell you just a little tidbit about this video, because this is how you learn, and this is how humbling tournament fishing is. We were in this Bass World Tournament, and we had determined there was a spot we were going to go to in a fairly popular creek, and we knew there might be somebody back there, but we drove all the way back to the back of it because that's where Joe had got his bites weekend before. And so we were sneaking back into this little spot, and and we're throwing the twitch and we're catching them. And as soon as we come around a little corner, bam, there's somebody there. I mean, and they're sitting on the sweet spot. And now all of a sudden we are literally under 100 feet away from a competitor.
Yeah.
And Joe catches one, and then I catch one. But we know he's in the sweet spot, and we watched him catch a keeper. And so far, we've got 3 keepers in our box, and we've just watched him stow one, put it away. And I'm telling you, that's like getting a gut punch in a boxing match. You got to sit there and shake it off, because it's like really hard to take, right? So I swear to God, this happened. He looks over and sees how we're fishing, and it doesn't take him 5 seconds, and he's got that box open, and I watch him rip off a sock off a rod that's probably been in the bottom of his box. It's his jerkbait pole, and I'm like, oh my God, I even covered my mouth, because I'm like, oh my God. And he throws it out and kind of in front of us. You know, I mean, he was there first, and dude, he smashes one right in front of us, jumps twice, nets it, they high five each other, and we're just like, huh. Right, we can take this, we can take this, we can take this. So we just ease up and hang there, and they pull out of the pocket. And I'm honestly, I don't know who the guys are. I did see them in the check line. I did notice they weren't in the check line. I did notice we ended up in the check line. So but they didn't go back far enough. They went across the pocket, and we let them go down the bank about 50 yards, and I started and I went right to where they were and turned right. And I threw 2 consecutive casts. One was a 408 and one was a 383. And I'm telling you, they were within a casting distance of these fish. And they just, you know, I mean, that's just how it is. There's so many choices in some of these massive lakes, right, left, straight. But I was holding my breath saying, oh my God, don't go right. Don't go right. And they didn't go right. So, it's all on video, and I'm going to leave it in there. I've already determined I'm going to leave it in there, because it's a real eye opener, and that's how tournament fishing is. And it's certainly not the first time. I could tell stories of being in Florida where I thought where we were fishing in crowds and watching guys just crush your dreams. You all found the same fish too. That's the really the irony of some of these big tournaments is you can't expect that you're going to get to go fish exactly where you want to, and expecting that some of these really competitive anglers didn't find the same fish you found. Well, not reality. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You guys are really good. Oh my God. We have some of the best anglers in the whole United States, in my opinion, competing right here in this area. So that being said, I'll fill you in, but it's going to be on one of those baits. It's just gonna, I know it, it could conceivably, it could be the stickworm, the Cinco, with or without weight, on a stand-up head, wacky. There's all kinds of ways we could be throwing it, because most of these fish at Truman have not bedded yet. We think some have, but the majority of them we think haven't. It's historically or notoriously a late spawn lake, and the lake came up about 1.5 foot in the last few days, and even those kind of rises and pulls back down are going to upset the fish for the spawning. They may kick nest for a little bit and then totally leave it, because the water level changes. So
yeah, they've got hammered with some different factors coming in. You had the cold front that came through, the lake came up, the core has been running quite a bit of water, and just a lot of things working. And from what so far the fishing guides have said, they haven't heard from anyone or noticed themselves a whole lot of bass spawning activity. So like you said, it's probably going to be something that's a little late. So
Well, and it is historically. This can easily be a May June lake. So, um, and it is a flood control lake. Let's put it in perspective. So, and I really think that we've been lucky the last few years where we had the spawn and then the water. We were able to get some kind of spawn off, and that's how come we have such a good population. Because Missouri doesn't stock largemouth bass as a policy. They don't. Micropodus salmorti is not something they're going to put in the lakes. They naturally occur pretty well. For some reason, they put walleyes and hybrids in our lakes, which some of us true bass fishermen would really prefer to obviously see them put a little emphasis on the largemouth.
Mm-hmm.
But either way, we have a great lake. It's full of all kinds of game fish, things that eat very well and pull very hard, and then it makes the bass fishing even more challenging, fighting your way through those giant hybrids. So
Yeah.
I love Truman. I do. I'll cuss a hybrid. I'm not gonna lie. During a tournament, it's just,
yeah.
But they're still fun to reel in.
Yeah. There's no doubt about that. And you're not going to let a potentially $25 jerk bait get tangled up either. So.
I'm reluctant to throw my favorite winter baits this time of year, and if I do, I'm going to throw them on really thick line. I don't know that I showed this to you the first time. I do want to make sure that the camera can pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
That's the Holy Grail, I think. The Holy Grail. I don't know if you can catch that. Has just a very light orange belly. So if somebody was out really, garage hunting and looking in old tackle boxes, this old Rapala right here with no rattles, made of wood, it's the Holy Grail of Mr. Twitches, in my opinion. So I don't know what it's worth. It's probably not worth much more than $15 or $20, but I only have 3 of them. And they're obviously not for sale, but they're not that rare that you won't find one. Yeah. And the bomb themselves, I know they're only about $5.99 or $6.99, and they're being produced right now in a multitude of colors. I do not know about the saltwater ones, but I've got quite a few saltwater ones. Excuse me, and they perform the way you want them to. So, got to try that second jerkbait season.
Yeah. Well, good deal. Thanks a bunch, David. You've got quite a few videos on the queue getting released on the YouTube channel, Fish30 YouTube channel. What are some of the next videos coming up that folks can expect? Obviously, the Truman one. What else?
That's actually still a few back. I'm not gonna lie. I am. Let's see. I am editing. A couple weekends ago, when this first Joe Bass tournament was held at Truman Lake, I had already, spoken up and said I would fish a double header, which doesn't very often that OMTT will have a tournament on a Sunday. So I decided to go to Grand, which is a quality lake and is full of bass. But I'm not near as good on it as I am Truman, but yet I've actually had some top 10s. I got a trophy back here from they called them Strens back then. Hate to date myself, but I got a top 10 down there in the month of March. So, but so video wise, we got Grand Anglers in Action. We got Grand Ozark Mountain Team Trail, and then comes the following weekend after that was the very first Bass World, a circuit that comes out of Truman or comes out of Lake of the Ozarks. And I really think if we hadn't had 3 other tournaments on the same day that we got more than 30 boats, but I would certainly love to pimp that circuit for coming to Truman, and giving it a try. And I really think in the next few events, if nothing big is set up to be opposing them, we could prove that we could get 50 or 60 boats in this circuit. So, and they actually have a championship where you fish for boats at the end of the season. So it's kind of a neat opportunity for Truman Lake anglers, and even Lake of the Ozark guys who get tired of the big boat traffic during when it's hot. When Truman gets good, I'm not saying Lake of the Ozarks isn't good, because it can be freaking stellar any time of the year. But it's hard to move around. It's hard to have a tournament. They have night tournaments, but it's hard to have a day tournament a lot of times on a Saturday in July and on Lake of the Ozarks. It just is. So this circuit came to Truman. So we want to pimp them. It's Bass World. And come on, fish them.
Yeah.
I want turnout is what I want to do. I would love to see these guys have success and have 60 or 80 boats in that. So anything I can do to help them, that's what I want to do. If somebody comes and, risks a little to see how Truman anglers respond. We've got a lot of tournament anglers, so I'm hoping 140 or 150 boats in Joe Bass. Well, this weekend, I don't know. I still think we'll break 120 boats in this tournament, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll be surprised. It may really boom. It may drawn enough that now it's going to draw all the way up to 200.
Right.
It's hard, but
yeah, I was hoping to be there. Unfortunately, well, I say unfortunately, I've got some family stuff. My grandparents are celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary. So I'll be up in Omaha, Nebraska for the weekend celebrating that with them. But
I think that's honorable. And I think that, because I'm older, I don't have my grandparents. I don't have my parents anymore. So obviously, Tyler, you kiss them both on the forehead and the fishing will wait.
Yeah. Well, and we'll get some reports from you after the event. And
you know me, I may not up the exact log or tree that I'm going to Sunday morning, but I'll tell you about how I'm catching them. And I'm already hearing reports chatter. This last rainfall made the Osage dirty, where it's been cleaner than I've ever seen it.
Yeah, I mean, here in the last couple of days,
it is now not. I'm told from somebody who was there today.
Oh, really? Okay.
You can't believe it. I can see 4 feet 4 days ago. Now I can't see hardly 4 inches. So wild swings like that, the fish don't leave, but man, techniques can really change. But really, it's harder for the fishermen than it is for the bass.
Yeah.
I'm already excited about going to some dirty water where there aren't guys and showing them some baits that I know they'll like. And fish that hopefully aren't seeing as many baits. That's my goal. So I'm glad to hear that because it really was stacked up over there. There were a lot of guys catching them in that clear water, and it was making where all the weights were coming out. And now that it's dirty over there, it's going to even the field out a little bit and make the lake fish a little more uniform and maybe scatter the guys out a little better. So you just never can tell until you go out and spend a couple days. Most of my buddies are going. They're already on their way right now. They're going to fish Friday and Saturday to try to win on Sunday.
Yeah.
So I want to mention one other thing that isn't, I would love to talk about, because this is a big deal to us guys who are, aren't making our livings doing this. And there's a whole lot of them. And I'm just happen to be one of them that shows you how we do it or what we do. But I'm going to talk a little bit about our boat dealer. You and I are in cahoots with Anglers Ports, but Port just announced something that if you buy a boat from them, let it be, a Phoenix, which I love, or a Camus, or even a Low. You fish in one of these 60 boat tournaments, one of these bigger Angler in Action, Joe Bass. There's even some smaller ones if we get the right numbers, that if you buy the boat from Anglers Port, they have a new incentive program. So let's imagine the Phoenix I bought. So Phoenix has an incentive program for Joe Bass that if they have over 60 boats and I win, I get an additional $7,000 on top of my winnings. So let's say Joe Bass gave us $4,000 for that win. that would be $11,000. Now, Anglers Port says if you buy the boat from us, we're going to throw in an additional $5,000.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
What? So now all of a sudden a Joe Bass tournament that is like a $200 entrance fee. I mean, there's some membership fees and stuff like that in the very first one, but seriously, that's a huge haul. I mean, a huge haul for a small entrance fee for a one-day tournament. You and your partner are cutting up that kind of money. I'm telling you, that's living large if you win that. So I want to point out that people, it does make a difference where you buy your boat. It really does. Give Anglers Port a look. They're offering that incentive program in writing. Check it out on the website. Impressive.
Yeah, and
but others have talked about it. These guys just did it.
Yep. We sent out an email blast to all of our members about it. So for those that maybe missed that or didn't see it, there's an article up on the website about it. You can find it at anglersportmarine.com. So all the details, it's got to be a minimum of a 60 boat tournament. I think the boat has to have been purchased within the last 2 years, if I understand correctly. And there's other rules, but yeah, it's
other rules. But man, it's a program. I'm telling you,
it's freaking awesome.
And there are a lot of guys out there thinking about buying boats or on the fence, and that makes a difference. It really does, because if you did that once a season, I'm telling you, and you win that kind of money, it's the difference. It's about the season being paid for. I mean, entrance fees and motel rooms and gas and all that stuff that we do spend money on. So when you do ring the bell well.
Right.
Ding. Oh my, that is great. I'm excited. I am truly excited. I want to ring that bell. I'm not lying. I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's not, because this is an incredible competitive atmosphere to tournament fish in this Truman Lake area. I mean, Lake of the Ozarks, Table Rock, Grand, Truman. I mean, Truman is now elevated to that. I can hardly wait till we start getting some large tournaments to come on a regular basis to Truman, like these other lakes have. So I think it's going to happen. I really do.
Well, David, thanks a bunch, as always, for some outstanding knowledge and insight. Wish you the best of luck this weekend, and hope everyone's safe out there. For those of you guys watching, maybe for the first time you became a member and seeing this, David McCormick has fished in tournaments for over 25 years. He's got a YouTube channel called the Fish30 YouTube channel, and it's a great one. He posts a lot of awesome videos of all of his events. So be sure to check that out. Give him a like and subscribe over there. That helps him out. And he helps us out a lot here at the website. So we appreciate him a ton. So with that, David, we'll catch up with you here a little later on.
Appreciate it.